Okay guys, so I'm going to show you a couple different ways of achieving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. That is going to be the most important thing for you to get as a beginner for quilting, is that seam allowances are very important, and keeping those accurate and consistent is like your #1 goal, so that all the pieces come together and all the blocks come together by the time we're finished with the quilt. So taking your time to set up for the 1/4 inch seam allowance is really important. There's a couple different feet you can use, a couple different ways you can do it. The foot that I told you about at class is the 1/4 inch quilter's foot that you see here. There's also one with a guide, and you can try out both to see which one works better for you. But the one that I'm going to focus on for this video is just your standard foot. Sometimes for beginners, or even myself included, I've been sewing forever, this foot just tends to work a little better in being consistent. So when we're looking over at the needle plate area, you're going to see your feed dogs, and your feed dogs are like little teeth that grip the fabric and pull them through the machine. And most people are going to go to this 1/4 inch foot. They're going to install that onto their machine, and that's great. I mean, it works pretty well, and I would say that's what a lot of quilters will use. But what happens, especially for beginners, when you're using that 1/4 inch foot, and I still to this day struggle with this sometimes, is you're putting your fabric under your foot here. When I lower this down, do you see how this feed dog is getting completely missed? So when the fabric is getting fed through the machine, this feed dog is not able to, it's not landing on the fabric, so it's not able to pull the fabric. So what ends up happening is you're trying to fight a little bit, almost like you're fighting against the current. In order to steer your fabric and keep it in line, you're having to really fight against the feed dogs, because now the pulling is not centered. The feed dog that's over to the far left is pulling at a rate much more than these center feed dogs are, and without this feed dog included in that, it kind of throws it off to where it feels like your fabric is being fed through on an angle, and like you're having to struggle to keep it in line. So what I want to do is just show you how to, using a standard foot, how to move the needle to the right and achieve a 1/4 inch seam, and at the same time be able to rest your fabric completely against the feed dogs, so that hopefully you won't struggle against those as you're quilting or as you're piecing. So I'm going to install this, and what we're going to do first is we are going to take our ruler. This is just your standard quilting ruler, and I'm going to bring it over so that actually I'm not going to install the foot. I'm going to leave it off so you can see better. But I'm going to bring the ruler over so that it's resting over all of the feed dogs, so including this feed dog over here to the right. I'm going to have it resting on top of all of those, and I'm going to lower my lever down so that it locks it in place. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the needle position over to the right using my width button on my settings, so that it is in alignment with the 1/4 inch line on my ruler. And the 1/4 inch line, remember, is this very first line on the ruler. So here we go. I'm going to start moving that needle over. I'm going to get it a little lower. I'm just going to use my hand crank to, or hand wheel, to lower that down. Let me get this thread out of our way. Oh, let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to lower this so that it's just above the ruler. It looks like I need to move it one more, maybe one more. That was too far, so I'm going to go back. So on my machine, my width is set to 5.5. And what that's going to do, I'll try to zoom in. Can you tell how the needle is just shy of that 1/4 inch line? So that would be your scant 1/4 inch, where it's just a hair, almost like the width of the thread closer in to the side. That's a scant 1/4 inch. Okay, so that's not a true 1/4, but a scant 1/4. So I'm going to go with that. If you wanted to make it a true 1/4, you would simply move your ruler out just a little bit more, or you could try moving your needle over another 1/2 millimeter to the left. Okay, but I'm going to leave it right where it is there at the 5.5, and from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some washi tape, and I'm going to highlight this side of my ruler. And that's going to give me, hopefully, what is a very accurate scant 1/4 inch. Now, you do want to be sure you keep your tape even with the ruler all the way down. So just like that. Let me zoom back out. I got you guys a little too close in there. So again, just placed my washi tape even with the right side of my ruler. And now I can lift that needle back up, and I can put my standard foot on my machine, and then I can take my rectangles. So what I want you to do is just take 2 rectangles just for, just as a test run for this. And I want you to sew them using your tape as a guide. All right, so here we go. We'll place this here. I've got to rethread my machine, so give me just a second. Here we go. Okay, so now we can sew. So let's go ahead, we'll get this in place, and you can see how the fabric is resting over all the feed dogs. We're going to go ahead and start sewing this. As I'm sewing, I'm focused on my tape line, guiding my fabric so that it's touching the tape. You don't want to focus on the needle. Focus out front, what you're sending under the, into the needle or under the needle. All right, we'll stop there and we'll go ahead and cut that loose. So now we have this piece, and you can see the 1/4 inch seam if you look closely here. And then if I take my ruler and lay it here, even with the edge of the fabric, right there, you should see how that's just literally like right, just a hair above the 1/4 inch line. You see, it's just resting right, if I can hold it straight, it's resting right on top of the 1/4 inch line. Okay, so now I'm going to pause the video, and then I'll show you how to test this to make sure it's accurate.